Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology, and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Hello and welcome to SciTech Culture. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How are we today, Steve? You ready to rip into this election eve special that we're going to do here, or
Well, I'm hoping it's going to be as exciting as the way everyone's sort of building it up, but we're going to have to talk through this and work out exactly what we think's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend this episode, this will be up before the US election next week, and then we'll for the next episode, with any luck, we'll revisit it and see if any of what we've said came to pass or whatever, and it'll be fun and entertaining to say the least. But to start on a rather amusing story, there was that Siberian bear that accurately predicted Trump's election in 2016. He's out again, and he's made his prediction for this year, and apparently he's picked the watermelon with Biden's face on it. So read into that what you will.
Amazing. If only we could get Paul the Octopus back from the World Cup fame to also see if he could, validate the Bears' decision.
Exactly. All right, so let's kick into it then. We might leave our overall predictions to the end, but it's just been a crazy thing because I guess, we've been discussing Trump on and off for the past 4 years because I guess it's just something that you couldn't really avoid. It's been quite an extraordinary period of time, and he really has just mowed through all the norms, so to speak, of what's acceptable for a president and the way things are done. And I guess it's kind of highlighted in even what's going on here. But just to start with, though, what seems really what struck me about his campaign this time is it was almost like he was trying to do a rerun concert, like trying to recapture the 2016 magic by going through a lot of the same kind of mechanisms, like trying to bury Biden as the ultimate corrupt politician with the Hunter Biden laptop and whatever deals he was doing in, was it Ukraine or whatever, and trying to sort of like find an equivalent to the Hillary email type scandal type thing. He's going out doing rallies, but unlike last time, there's a pandemic and it's recommended not to have thousands of people in close proximity, even though he's by himself up on a stage and can hop on the plane the second he wants to get out, and then contrast that with the fact that Biden isn't Hillary. So and I think that that's something that he may struggle with potentially.
I think he's definitely struggling. Look, I think you're absolutely right. The last 4 years has been an amazing upheaval in global politics because Trump has affected everyone. I think it's interesting. He came into as the underdog in 2016, and I remember quite clearly, even though no one thought he could win, there was quite an air of expectation around the election. I guess as an external observer to American politics, but also someone who's affected by Trump's global presence, it definitely hasn't been a normal campaign by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I even wonder some days whether or not Joe Biden would have been the candidate with a normal pre-selection for the Democrats. It's weird, it's strange seeing Trump conduct rallies and Biden be invisible, and yet, everyone's talking about Trump, not really about Biden. It's weird. And it makes it very difficult to really predict what's going to happen, not only in terms of the election and who will win, but really what are we going to see of whoever wins in the next 6 months? What is going to happen? And I think even if Biden were to win, there's no guarantee that there'd be any satisfaction.
Yeah, I think there's a danger there in thinking that, if he wins, everything's right with the world, it's all fixed, and we go back to normal. The only thing I think that could potentially change, assuming, if it's not contested and it doesn't drag out over the coming months into who really won things, so the legitimacy of the election, etc. Assuming that doesn't happen, probably the only thing that he can really do straight away is just tone the temperature down of all the discussion, which is probably a good first step for them anyway.
Well, I wonder. I mean, one of the things that I'll be fascinated to see is I actually think Joe Biden is getting the ultimate poison chalice. After 4 years of Trump in our face every second of the day, doing something outrageous or something that's causing somebody some sort of, argument or angst. If you went back to any other president in history, by comparison, they're going to be seen to be doing nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the other thing is, because the flip side of that is, if you unpack what Trump has done over the last 4 years, and excluding his persona and some of his views, he's actually been quite an active president. He's actually made a lot of things happen, and through that, he's created the hubris around him that is parcel of his presidency. Any normal, reasonable, measured presidency now will look inactive, will look incapable, and it's really the time for someone with a really big personality, say like Obama, to step in. If Biden doesn't have the personality to fill that void, then I think there's a real danger there for him.
I wonder if it's just a question of he comes in just to tone things down, and then whoever's next is the one that is that person that you're talking about, potentially.
Potentially, because you've hit on a point there as well. Can anyone see Biden doing more than one term?
No, certainly not at his age.
So there's so many. There are so many things hidden beneath the Trump sort of loud speaking, loud yelling, look at me sort of routine, that I think, sure, we can understand why so many people would be glad to see the back of him. But as you've pointed out, and I feel the same way, I don't think getting rid of Trump necessarily equals satisfaction.
Indeed. I just want to switch over now to the polls, because that's starting to get a lot of news coverage as well. And what I've been amused by is a lot of the news outlets now are running comparisons, even of themselves, of what they said 4 years ago compared to today. And this sort of line that's coming out now, that they're concerned that they're basically saying the same thing, which is, we predicted like a huge Hillary victory, and now the numbers are saying essentially the same thing for Biden, but look what happened last time, so can we ever really trust what's going on with these polls? And I just wonder if in this particular case, it's good to be have a heightened level of awareness about the issue from last time, and for, I guess, maybe the Democratic campaign, they can be a bit more cautious, not taking things for granted, which is probably a good mindset to be in. But that doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a repeat of what happened 4 years ago.
No, that's exactly right. Look, I think, Trump caught everyone by surprise last time round. There's no way the pollsters are going to make that mistake again. Sure, maybe the polls have got it wrong, but I think that they're probably a lot closer to reality this time around. And what absolutely puzzles me is why the traditional media, who have had a completely adversarial relationship with Trump, now keep sort of like backpedaling around the thing, he's likely to get in, or our polls are probably wrong. Well, in that case, then don't run your polls. Or
is that just a case of hedging their bets so that they don't get the proverbial egg on their face afterwards if it turns out to be different?
Well, but this is the ridiculous thing, because if Biden has a decisive victory, and the polls were saying that all along, then why have they been filling pages with the "we don't really know"? Then they're wrong 2 elections in a row. That's the media, not the polls.
Well, I'd have to say that if quote unquote the polls are wrong again, then probably the industry is probably done, because it's kind of like, well, who's going to believe them? Between that and the way the media covers it, and I guess.
That would be the story that the media should be running with. If the polls don't get it right this time, then that is the end of the polls. What do they matter anymore?
Yeah, exactly. And there's also the extension to that is the idea of networks calling it on the night when in actual reality, and I don't think a lot of people understand this, is that it's actually not really in the bag on the night, regardless of how big a victory it is or how much it's gone to one side, because it's more just a projection. And they do say we project that whoever, so-and-so has won, but it is a projection. And I guess that's where, you got the famous example of 2000 where, there was projections, then it was retracted, then it went to the Supreme Court a month later to sort out. And that's kind of like another example of maybe a norm that doesn't need to be, continued from the media side of things.
Well, I think, it goes to the very heart of the need to modernise election campaigns. And it's not specifically, say, for the American experience. I think we're seeing it globally now, that the old system of ballot and the way of calling an election and even administering an election and then even determining the victor is still very much a 19th century sort of procedure. So it's interesting to see now whether this will bring long-term change. I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily, say, a case for electronic ballots, but it's weird to see a postal vote system in this age, I think, that goes for 6 weeks before an election. I just, understand the principles of it, and I agree with the principles of it, but the reality is it just doesn't seem to make any sense anymore.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, maybe if we finish up now with our predictions, I can't see anything other than a Biden win, given the nature of everything that's going on. It's just a question of how much. And I'm not going to say one way or the other whether it's going to be close or it's not, because a win's a win, I guess. The only thing is I'd say that it might be better for like a Biden victory that it's really comprehensive and almost landslide in a way, because it's not just him winning against a normal sort of candidate for president. It's basically got to be a statement of we're putting that behind us, and that the only way they can do that is if it's a really decisive victory. But because if I just foresee months of chaos if it turns out that, if it's like 271 to 269 or something, then that's going to be problematic.
Yeah, exactly. But look, I'll go out on a limb here, and I don't have any real reason to believe this, but I think Biden will have a crushing victory over Trump. And I think Trump will depart very quickly because it'll be really apparent. Maybe that's wishful thinking on my behalf, but, I can't see. Trump's got rusted on supporters, that's for sure, but I can't see him increasing his vote, and he needs to increase his vote to win. And, I'm sure if there's an extra 1 million people vote this time round or 2 million people vote this time round, they're not going to be voting for Trump. So I just can't see how Trump can possibly win. And I suspect if you really look at the way the colleges are laid out and what some of the polls are predicting, I don't think he's going to need to. I don't think he's going to get the states that he needs to get a pathway to victory. But having said that, I could be 100% wrong.
Just like those pollsters, right? We both could be.
Look, I'm backing the polls this time around. Put it that way. I take it that the polls can't be 100% accurate because of the changes in demographic and the way that they poll people now. But I can't believe that they will make the same mistake twice.
Indeed. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there, and I guess we'll visit this in our next episode, hopefully after the election, and we'll have something fun and clear to talk about.
I'm sure we will, whoever wins.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so don't forget our website, SciTechCulture.com. You can get all of our links and content there. You can subscribe to our YouTube and Vimeo channels, our RSS feeds, and watch us on any and all of your devices. And we greatly appreciate your visits to our website. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.